Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Vishnupad, Paramahansa Parivajikacharya, Astutada Shishimad, Iskon Pandracharya's Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vinda ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Prem Shri Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda ki, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Syama Kunda Radha Kunda Shri Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Ram Mayapur ki, Ganga Maya ki, Jamuna Maya ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Tulsi Mahadani ki, Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Ras Purnim Mahotsava ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naranam Namaskricha Naram Cheva Narotamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasan Tatorayam Udirayat Nasta Preshu Abhideshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Agyana Timirandasya Jana Jana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Gena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Today is the last day of Kartik Vrat, Kartik Mas, and we're requested to describe some Vrindavan Leela. So in that vein, we'll read from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 29. Krishna and the gopis prepare to conduct the rasa dance. I'll read a few English verses. Sri Badarayani said, Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full of all opulences. Yet upon seeing those autumn nights scented with blossoming jasmine flowers, he turned his mind towards the loving affairs. To fulfill his purposes, he employed his internal potency. The moon then rose, anointing the face of the eastern horizon with the reddish hue of his comforting rays, and thus dispelling the pain of all who watched him rise. The moon was like a beloved husband who returns after long absence and adorns the face of his beloved wife with red kumkum. Lord Krishna saw the unbroken disk of the full moon, glowing with the red effulgence of newly applied vermilion, as if it were the face of the goddess of fortune. He also saw the Kumuda lotuses opening in response to the moon's presence, and the forest gently illumined by its rays. Thus the Lord began to play sweetly on his flute, attracting the minds of the beautiful-eyed gopis. So there are four qualities that Lord Krishna possesses that none of his expansions or plenary portions, Lord Narayan, none of them possess these qualities. He's extraordinarily beautiful. He plays on his transcendental flute, which is his constant companion. He's always surrounded by loving devotees, untinged by the concept of opulence, awe and veneration. And also, he has very extraordinary pastimes in Vrindavan with his devotees. So these four qualities, one of which is he's playing on his transcendental flute. When Krishna plays on his flute, the sound is so enchanting because it is actually his heart is singing through the flute. It's described by Rupa Goswami that Krishna's heart is singing to the gopis, and the agents of this song is the flute, the wonderful flute of Krishna. And this flute, when it enters into the ears of the gopis, who are the topmost devotees of Lord Krishna, their love is completely causeless and without any kind of tinge of selfish desire. It is the complete opposite of the attraction. As Narottam Das Thakur says, love in the material world, the attraction between a boy and a girl, that may last a few hours or a few days, a few weeks, or a few years, but then it goes to hell. This is Srila Prabhupada's purport to one of the songs by Narottam Das Thakur. Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Shushitala. That if one wants to enter into the loving pastimes of Radha and Krishna, he must sambandha, cultivate a relationship with Lord Nityananda, who we know is non-different from Lord Balaram. So Krishna's flute enters into the ears of the gopis and it beckons them to the forests of Vrindavan. Rupa Goswami says that Lord Krishna is the perfect judge of time and circumstance. So he sees, oh, it's the Sharad season. It's the autumn season. And it's the full moon night in the autumn season. So he takes the opportunity to engage with the gopis in the rasa dance in the forest of Vrindavan. There's millions and trillions of gopis, trillions in the spiritual world. Actually, Narottam Das Thakur describes the spiritual world in the song Vrindavani, Vrindavani, Ramayastane. In that song, which was sung by Vishnu Jan Maharaj in the 60s and early 70s, describes the spiritual world where Lord Krishna is surrounded by loving devotees, gopis, cowherd boys. He's herding the calves in the spiritual world. And there we see the Yamuna River, the celestial river of the Yamuna. And in the midst of this Yamuna River, there's a large golden lotus flower with 8 petals, 8 golden petals. Each petal represents one of the primary gopis: Vishaka, Lalita, Indrulekha, Champakalata, Sudevi, and others. And in the center of this lotus flower sits the divine couple, Radha and Krishna, absorbed in ecstatic love of each other. This is the picture depicted and illustrated by Narottam Das, who we know his heart was brimmed to full with Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Lord Chaitanya entered the heart of Narottam Das Thakur and empowered him with the ecstatic love of God. Just like it's described by Rupa Goswami, that the hearts of the gopis, when Krishna's flute enters, their hearts are like pots full of the ghee of love of God. And those pots start to boil out of the heat of love for Krishna. The pots of ghee in the hearts of the gopis, the pots of prema, they boil over in love of God, and ecstatic symptoms of love are exhibited by them. These symptoms are also exhibited because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is non-different from Krishna, he came here to Navadvip 535 years ago, and Krishna decided that I always wanted to know the position of Radha. He wanted to experience the ecstatic position of Radha Krishna, of Radharani, I'm sorry. And so he decided to descend in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, non-different from Krishna in the mood of Radharani. So he also exhibited these ecstatic symptoms, especially in the last 8 years of his presence on this planet, here in this part of the world. So when Krishna plays on his flute, the flute is challenging the gopis. I dare you to come. Give up your religious principles, your regulative principles of a married woman. And come to the dark forest of Vrindavan. Come into the forest. Give up your fear. The flute is challenging like this. Although Krishna's lips are the property, the absolute property of the gopis, why is it, they wonder, that this male, hard flute made of wood is always drinking the nectar of Krishna's lips? This is written by Krishnadas Kaviraj in one chapter of Antya-lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, description of the flute of Lord Krishna. Although it's male, the gopis say, although it's male, and it's full of holes, and it's made of wood, why is it always associating with the lips of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead? We own Krishna's lips. We are gopis. Krishna's lips are the property of the gopis. So they're wondering what great austerities and what great mantras, what secret mantras, and what great pious activities has this flute performed to always associate with the lips of Lord Krishna. They want to learn what austerities so that we can perform those austerities and always associate with Krishna's lips. This is described by Rupa Goswami also. And Krishnadas is quoting these poetic descriptions of Rupa Goswami, who was the father of pure devotional service. He's empowered by Lord Chaitanya. He actually visited Lord Chaitanya and was instructed by him. So Narottam Das Thakur, he prays, when will I develop an eagerness to read and study the books given by the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, who describe the most intimate aspects of Krishna and the absolute truth in the mood of love of God, the highest form of love of God, Madhurya Lila. And the other rasas that are given, Sakya Ras, Vatsalya Ras, Mother Yashoda. Although Krishna, his expansion as Mahavishnu, produces all the universes, trillions and trillions of universes, somehow Krishna is nursing from the breast of Mother Yashoda. He's God himself, the greatest person. And yet Mother Yashoda is in this mood of maternal protection. And when Krishna is being embraced by the Kaliya serpent in the Yamuna River, the poisoned river, Mother Yashoda, her tears are flowing from her eyes out of maternal love and fear for Krishna. The tears, hot tears are flowing from her eyes. And Nanda Maharaj is saying, Mother Yashoda, Krishna is now embraced by the coils of the Kaliya serpent. Our life is gone. Krishna, they're thinking this little boy, he's finished. And they say, we might as well enter into the river and give our lives up. So the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they're willing to give their lives up if they cannot be with Krishna. The gopis, we know, they tried to stop Akrura, taking Krishna away from Vrindavan. Great separation was there. Some of them committed suicide. When Krishna was gone, Radharani entered the Yamuna River and gave up her life. This is described in various literatures by Rupa Goswami. So this kind of love of God is very rarely achieved. It's very rarely seen in this material world. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Namo Maha Vadanyaya, Vadanyaya Avatar. He's so merciful. It's described in the 7th chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita. The Panchatattva came, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He appears with his associates. He comes with Lord Nityananda, Lord Balaram. And they come with the cowherd boys. Many of Lord Chaitanya's associates are Shakis, Vishaka, Lalita, Manjaris appear. Raghunath Das Goswami is Rati Manjari, a very intimate servant or associate of Radharani. So they come to give this love of God, and it says that Panchatattva, they danced and chanted in this area of Nadia, and they drowned all the inhabitants in pure love of God. They didn't consider whether they were fit or unfit, but they gave this ecstatic emotion of love, the fruit of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the fruit of love. They gave it freely to everyone, even those who were considered unfit or unqualified. That is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur says, Patita Pavana Te Hetu Tava Avatar, Mosamo Patita Prabhu, Napoibe Ar. Who is more merciful than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Patita Pavana, he's giving this freely to everyone. Is the only alms he begs, Lord Nityananda begs, is to take this holy name of the Lord and chant it, and gradually the moon of love of God, the sun of love of Godhead will rise in your heart. So the gopis, they're experiencing this love and they're rushing to see Krishna. They're not even dressed properly. The flute is bewildering everyone. And Krishna starts to enact his Rasa Leela dance with the gopis. That Rasa Leela dance will take place for billions of years by our years. One night of Lord Brahma, Very, very long time, billions of years. Krishna is the Yogeshvara, Yatcha Yogeshvara, Krishna. He is the mystic yogi, the great master of all yogis. And by his mystic power, he fits the one night of Lord Brahma into one night of ours in Vrindavan. And Krishna expands himself so that all the gopis feel that they're with Krishna in this arena of the rasa dance. Rupa Goswami says that the great craftsman, Sukadeva Goswami, has carved from a conch shell a ring of the rasa dance. And in the center of that rasa dance, where the gopis are dancing in a circle with Lord Krishna's expansion, Srimati Radha and Krishna are dancing in the center of this ring. The great craftsman Sukadeva Goswami has created this in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, they're dancing in ecstasy, embracing Lord Krishna. Krishna is kissing the gopis. And all the demigods, they come down to observe this wonderful dance of Radha Krishna and Krishna and the gopis. They're all observing it. Lord Indra becomes so ecstatic that all his eyes start pouring tears of love and showering down on the dancer, Lord Krishna and the gopis, showering them and enlivening them with these showers of rain from all his eyes on his body. And Lord Shiva, he's observing this dancing, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, and he goes into ecstasy, and he's chanting and dancing like a crazy man and beating on his dindim drum. And the other demigods, like Lord Brahma, are there observing in ecstasy. Their hairs are standing on end while observing this dance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate Purusha, in this arena of the rasa dance. So the flute playing of Lord Krishna is so wonderful and so enchanting. Rupa Goswami describes that Krishna has a Venu, Murali, and Vamsi, different types of flutes. The Venu flute is very short, about 6 inches long, contains 5 holes. It's made of bamboo. The Murali flute is 15 inches long, described by Rupa Goswami, and it has 15 holes on it, and it has a very enchanting sound. It enchants the entire universe. So Rupa Goswami describes that when the flute playing of Krishna vibrates, it breaks through the coverings of the universe and enters into the spiritual world. It strikes the Gandharvas with wonder, and it causes Lord Shesh, who is holding all the planets on his heads, all the universes, to move hither and thither. It loosens up the belts of the wives of the demigods and causes their hair to loosen and the flowers to fall from their hair. And it loosens the belts of the gopis who have abandoned their families and husbands to come and dance with Krishna. This is the wonderful flute playing of Lord Krishna. So these are descriptions. Radharani is described by Rupa Goswami that she is with her friends Lalita and Vishaka, and she's in the forest of Vrindavan. And Lord Krishna and Madhu Mangal, they're also in this forest. And Krishna plays on his flute. And when Radharani hears the flute playing of Krishna, her body starts to tremble. Ecstatic symptoms appear in her body. And Radharani says, "Why is my body trembling? There's no cold wind blowing. There's no snowfall. Why is my body trembling as if it's cold?" It's because of Lord Krishna's flute. And Radharani is lamenting. Rupa Goswami describes in the Viragda Madhava. It's a beautiful play. Actually, Rupa Goswami was going to write all the pastimes of Krishna, Krishna in Vrindavan, Krishna in Mathura, Krishna in Dwarka, in one play. But on his way to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri, he came to a village called Satyabhamapura. It's in Orissa. And that night while he was sleeping, the goddess Saraswati came to him in a dream. And she said, don't ever take Krishna out of Vrindavan. You should at least write exclusively a play about Lord Krishna's transcendental leelas in Vrindavan. The devotees of the Lord, Gaudiya Vaishnav, Gaudiya also means golden. They're interested in Radharani's party. They're only interested in Radha's transcendental love for Lord Krishna. The Swakiya Ras, the regulative conjugal love in Dwarka does not appeal to the inhabitants of Vrindavan. They simply want to see Krishna as a little cowherd boy who resembles a blue lotus flower in the forest, whose lotus face is like the blue monsoon cloud, whose conch necklace, which is underneath his monsoon cloud face, resembles ducks flying in the sky, and he's decorated with a beautiful peacock feather, which resembles a rainbow in the sky, and his garland of Vaijayanti flowers resembles a rainbow in the sky. These are all poetry written by Rupa Goswami. And that the joking words of Lord Krishna from his monsoon cloud face is showering down showers of nectar and nourishing the golden wheat-like field, golden wheat-like gopi fields. So this is a description that Rupa Goswami gives. So this is what the devotees of Vrindavan, the Brijbasis, their only interest is this little cowherd boy, Krishna, how they can play with him. And Srila Prabhupada says that the cowherd boys in Vrindavan, they knew that somehow Krishna, they didn't know he was God, but they knew he'd always protect them. So when the fire came, Krishna ate the fire. The Putana witch, when she came to kill Krishna with her poisoned breast, Krishna simply killed her, but he was so merciful, he sent her to Goloka Vrindavan to be a maidservant of Mother Yashoda. The cowherd boys, when the demons came, they would go and approach Krishna. Krishna, Dhenukasura, he's preventing us from eating the wonderful fruits in the forest. Please come and take care of it. So Krishna and Balaram, they went into the forest and they took Dhenukasura, the ass demons, and twirled them around and threw them up in the palm trees. They looked like colored clouds. These are the transcendental leelas of Lord Krishna, cowherd boy Krishna. So this is what the inhabitants of Vrindavan, this is all they're concerned about. So when Srivasi had an argument, he's actually Narada Muni, and he visits Lord Krishna in Dwarka, and he told Swarup Damodar, the opulence of Dwarka is made of pillars, beautiful palaces with wonderful jewels in the pillars and beautiful marble and gold at every intersection, and 16,108 palaces are embellished in Dwarka. And what is your Vrindavan? It's simply a place with pebbles and straws and grass and cows. What is the opulence? So Swarup Damodar, who is Lalita Devi, he describes that the opulence of Vrindavan is that the ground is made of Chintamani stones. It is made of Chintamani stones, wish-fulfilling stones. Anyone who uses a Chintamani stone will turn everything into gold. And that the trees of Vrindavan are wish-fulfilling trees. They supply whatever kind of fruits devotees want to offer to Krishna. And that the cows in Vrindavan are Surabi cows. And there's millions of cows that Krishna is herding throughout the forest of Vrindavan. Krishna has 108 groups of cows. And Maitreya tells Vidura in the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna's cows are all wonderful varieties of colors. And Krishna knows every single name of each cow. And he's calling them to go back to his home. And as he's coming, the dust of the hooves of the cows are floating. But Mother Yashoda is sitting on her Chandra Shalika. Chandra Shalika is a little platform on her house, on the roof. And she's looking to see the lotus, the peacock feather of Lord Krishna in the dust. In this way, she's always looking for Krishna. When will he come home? She's feeling so much protection for the Lord. And we know that as a mother, Krishna, when he's naughty, she picks up the stick. We just sung the Damodar Ashtakam. And Krishna was very angry that Mother Yasoda, although nursing, put him down to take care of the milk on the stove, which was overflowing. It was feeling, oh, I'm so useless, I can't serve Krishna, and overflowed, committed suicide. So Mother Yashoda put Krishna down, and out of childhood anger, boyish anger, he breaks the yogurt pots, and he goes into Mother Yashoda's cellar. He starts breaking the pots of ghee and the yogurt pots, and Mother Yashoda finds the mess, and she picks up a stick. And she thinks, now I have to punish my son. But she sees the fear, Krishna feeling so much fear in his eyes from his mother. He's completely, by the mercy of Purnamasi, who's Yogamaya, he's acting in the Yogamaya. So he's feeling the emotions of a young child. Although everyone's depending on him, aham bija prada pita, here he's feeling completely dependent on Mother Yashoda, and he's feeling great fear that she's going to beat him with a stick. And Mother Yashoda, of course, she thinks, oh, I should put the stick down. Krishna may become scarred for life if I beat him. And so she goes and decides to tie Krishna up. We know that she gets ropes, but every time the rope, all kinds of ropes, in fact, all the elderly gopis, they start bringing ropes to tie up Krishna. And they're always 2 fingers too short to tie him to the grinding mortar. But finally, when Krishna sees his mother is perspiring and stressing and anguishing to tie him up, she's really working hard. He allows, out of love, he feels the love of his mother, that great prema, and he allows her to tie him up. Just like when Krishna was lifting Govardhan Hill on his finger, his hand was trembling sometimes, and the inhabitants of Vrindavan were thinking, oh, Krishna can't hold his hill up by himself, he needs help. But actually Krishna's hand was trembling. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states, his hand was trembling because he was so overwhelmed by the immense love that his devotees had for him. The immense love that his devotees, he's won, Bhakta Vatsala, he's won by this pure love that the devotees have for him. He is conquered by that love, as is Radha. It states that one of her 25 qualities is that she's conquered by the love of her gopi friends, her Sakis. So when Krishna was lifting Govardhan Hill, he created a beautiful situation for the inhabitants of Vrindavan. They weren't really suffering. He made it, there was nice breeze blowing. There were lakes there with swans and ducks. It was a wonderful situation. Although Lord Indra had sent some Vartika clouds to destroy the inhabitants of Vrindavan out of his pride, false pride, Krishna made it very nice so that they would all be enjoying. For 7 days, they got to associate with Krishna day and night. Day and night. And Mother Yasoda, of course, she was thinking, Krishna hasn't eaten for 7 days. And she cooks 8 meals a day for Krishna. That's where we get the 56 offerings to Lord Jagannath in Puri. That's where it comes from. So in this way, there's many side stories to this lifting of Govardhan Hill. When Krishna was lifting the hill, Rupa Goswami says that Radharani appeared. Sometimes in Varshana, which was quite far, the news would get out that, oh, Krishna is now lifting Govardhan Hill, and Vrishabhanu and Kirtida, Radharani's mother, they would, we must go and help this Krishna, the son of Maharajnanda, and they would take Radha and all their servants and everyone, they'd leave Varshan and go, let's go and help Krishna. So when Radharani appeared at Govardhan, under Govardhan, Krishna's hands started shaking out of ecstatic love for Radha. Rupa Goswami writes in the Vidagdha Madhav that when Purnamasi mentioned the name Radha, Krishna's hairs immediately stood up on end, simply by hearing Radha. Such ecstasy he has for Radharani's love. Unparalleled love for Krishna is manifested. Of course, Krishna's potency is described in the Krishna book. Prabhupada says, just as a child plays with his reflections in the mirror, so Krishna is playing with the gopis, dancing with the gopis, teasing the gopis, fulfilling the desires of the gopis. We know that they worship Katyayani, to have Krishna as their husband. And Krishna initially stole their garments. He also danced with them in the forest of Vrindavan. He became their husband. And of course, all their husbands are expansions of Lord Krishna. And they're always thinking, oh, the gopis are lying here with me at home. But the gopis, by Krishna's potency and Purnamasi's, Yogamaya's potency, the gopis have left their homes, abandoned their homes, abandoned their families, and come to see Krishna. So Krishna's hand was shaking when he saw Radharani, and he was observing her beauty. And Lord Balaram was thinking, oh, Krishna, his hand is shaking, and the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they're panicking. Is he going to drop this big mountain on us? But Balaram was just smiling. That Rupa Goswami writes that Balaram is smiling and thinking, oh, they're thinking Krishna will drop the mountain. But Krishna, when he saw Balaram smiling at him, he thought, oh, Balaram saw me observing Radharani's beauty, and he felt very shy. Rupa Goswami says this is called shyness and ecstatic love. So all these different symptoms are given. Narottam Das Thakur says, and Srila Prabhupada says in the purport to the song, that of all the books that Rupa Goswami has written, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu comes to the condensed and focuses on the condensed milk of love for Krishna. That it is focusing on how to perform devotional service and come to the platform of pure devotion, and then the ultimate goal of pure devotional service, Prema Bhakti. Prema Bhakti, simply by chanting the holy names of Lord in the age of Kali, we can attain to Prema Bhakti. There's no tarnish of Jnana Bhakti or Karma Bhakti. Bhaktiastu anyaya shakya ahamevam vidur juna. Gatum jastum chitatvena jistavan asimam yata. Krishna tells Arjuna that only by ananyaya bhakti, bhakti without any fruitive desire, any tinge of speculation, that you can see me as I am in my two-armed form here on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjuna wanted to see that two-armed, that loving form of Krishna. He was so fearful at seeing the Virat Rupa of the Lord, so Krishna manifested his two-armed form. But Tosi me Sakha Cheti, you're my friend and my devotee, I give you myself. Krishna gives himself to his devotees. He breaks his promises for his devotees. Like that. So this is the love that the inhabitants of Vrindavan are experiencing. And today is the celebration of Radharani's and the gopis dancing with Lord Krishna in the forest of Vrindavan. Radharani, of course, Her name is also known as Kartik. So this rasa dance happens during the Kartik Mas. Kirtida, being the mother of Radharani, Kirtika, the daughter of Radharani, thus Kartik is the name of Radha. And Radharani, sometimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu illustrates in the final chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the mood the one has feelings for Lord Krishna. Shikshashtakam. And Radharani is saying that I know no one else except Krishna is my Lord, and he always remains so, even if he crushes me by his embrace or leaves me brokenhearted by not being present before me. Sometimes Krishna goes off and wants to associate with another gopi like Viraj. Viraj is a very youthful gopi. And Radharani says, but although he's a debauchee and leaves me brokenhearted and gives my heart great pain by going off and associating with another gopi, I take that gopi by the hand and I bring her to Krishna. And although that is the greatest of my pain, that pain is the greatest of my happiness because it's pleasing Krishna. So Rupa Goswami also describes that Lord Krishna is like a tamal tree, and the creeper embracing the tamal tree is Radharani. And that the little leaves and branches on the creeper are like the gopis. But Rupa Goswami says, in love of God, in Vrindavan, those who assist Radharani, they derive more pleasure from assisting Radharani than direct association with Krishna. And even Prabhupada says that Radharani, she's always in the mood of bringing gopis to associate directly with Krishna. This is the mood of love of God. And one time, the devotees asked, I believe it was Tripurari, asked Srila Prabhupada, is distributing Krishna consciousness by distributing your books, is that in the mood of the gopis? Because you're trying to bring the souls to the lotus feet of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada said, yes. This preaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is in the mood of the gopis because we're trying to deliver all these souls who Krishna has such great, and Lord Chaitanya has such great feelings and compassion for, to deliver them from this ocean of birth and death, from the hellish conditions of the material world, to deliver them. So Prabhupada said, yes, this is the right consciousness to have, that in the mood of the gopis, you're trying to deliver all the fallen souls. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha, kripa sindhu bevacha, patinanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Kalpatarubhya, wish-fulfilling tree. If someone wants to be happy, they have to get the shelter of the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gaurangera Dutipada. One has to learn how to embrace the two lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's the only way you can get the mercy in this age of Kali. It's very easy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving you, simply chant the holy names and follow the guidance of the great Acharya. The Srila Prabhupada has been empowered by the Lord to distribute this mercy throughout the world simply by his books. His books are written by Krishna, he says. Every word is embellished with the dust from Krishna's lotus feet and the dust of Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. Lord Chaitanya, he revealed himself through a few devotees that he is Radha and Krishna. He revealed to Ramananda Roy in South India when they were speaking together. He revealed to him the divine form of Radha and Krishna. So some would be given this mercy. Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Roy, they would always be assisting Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was feeling separation from Krishna, when he was feeling ecstatic love. They would enhance his feelings by reciting poetry from the Gita Govinda by Jayadev Goswami or other poetries by Bilvamangal Thakur All these books have been written by these great devotees. And they would recite to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to enhance his various moods as he was diving and surfacing in this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, this ocean of love of God. This is the ultimate purpose of Lord Chaitanya appearance on this planet. And he wants to give it to us. He's very eager to give it, as we know. He's feeling great pain. How can he save these fallen souls in Kali Yuga? Or else, if one doesn't get the mercy, then one is condemned for millions of lifetimes. Millions of lifetimes in lower species of life. That is the predicament of those who cannot get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But those who get this mercy, they can easily continue on the path back home, back to Godhead. Because Lord Chaitanya is Krishna in a mood of great compassion. Radharani has many qualities, we know. One of her qualities is she is karunya. Means she is the foundation of all compassion. Karunya. She is full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Kripa Sindhu. She's an ocean of kripa. Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha. Patitanam Pavana. Radharani is very concerned how to help everyone become a devotee. We're all, the soul in its pure state, everyone has dormant love for Krishna. Every single soul. Trees, plants, animals, we have this dormant love. It's being tarnished, it's being tinged, it's being contaminated by the modes of nature. And therefore, one tries to invest their love in different things. The animals, they love their offspring, and so on and so forth. We try to invest our love in all different places. But the only shelter is Krishna's lotus feet. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. We are looking forward to spending the entire day glorifying Srimati Radharani and the love she has for Krishna and the love of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Rasa Purnima ki. So if there's any comments or questions that one may have, we have a few minutes left. Haribo. Yeah. There's no fan today, so it's easier to hear your comment or question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, thank you so much for a beautiful description of the pastimes of Krishna. So, for the practitioner devotees, we are having this Srimad Bhagavatam to read and by canto wise, and then to go to Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, for a practitioner devotee, we are having Srimad Bhagavatam to read canto wise and to go to 10th canto for the pastimes. So, the pastimes which were you mentioning is elaborated in 10th canto, or we are having other books to read the same?
Well, Srila Prabhupada in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya describes the conversation between Ramananda Roy and himself. And in there, they're describing the, various levels of devotional service according to the Vedic Shastras and Shrutis and Smritis. But then he brings Ramananda Roy to describing the conjugal love of the gopis in separation from Krishna as being the highest form of love of God. So gradually we have to move through the 10th cantos, but Srila Prabhupada is also very mercifully written the Krishna book, which is a condensation of the 10th canto for us. And very carefully and with great diligence, we can study and read the wonderful pastimes of Lord Krishna under the guidance of these great acharyas. Srila Prabhupada has read the commentary by Sridhar Swami and by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and has himself given his commentaries on the 10th canto and the Krishna book. So everything is done under the guidance of the great devotees of the Lord. And there should be no deviation. And Prabhupada also warns, prior to the Rasalila dance, he warns about the sahajas and taking the pastimes of Krishna's ordinary mundane activities and trying to imitate Lord Krishna, which is the greatest offense. The sahajas and the baulis and the Gaura Nagaris and these different false groups, so-called Vaishnavas, who take things cheaply. So we have to be very careful to follow in the footsteps of the great acharyas, but they have given us the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the Gopal Champu, various books, the plays Vidagdha Madhava, Lalita Madhava. These are things that we can read under the understanding that these are the most transcendental and spiritual activities of the Lord, and they're not meant to be shared with non-devotees or even neophyte devotees. Prakrita Bhaktas, the beginning of devotional service, one only sees Krishna in the temple, and he doesn't have much compassion for the conditioned souls. But in order to please the great acharyas, yasya prasada bhagavat prasado yasya prasada nakati katopi, Srila Prabhupada says you must raise yourself to madhyamadikari. That means that you must have a burning desire to liberate the fallen souls, as Haridas Thakur did, as Lord Nityananda, who's acting like a devotee, but he's actually Lord Balaram, but he's extremely compassionate, and he's risking his life to deliver the fallen souls. Srila Prabhupada risked his life to deliver everyone to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. And we have to be very grateful and show our gratitude by also taking risks. Devotees take all kinds of risks. Prahlad Maharaj took great risks to help the fallen souls. Therefore, he's known as Paradukha Dukhi. He's very unhappy to see the unhappiness of others. Patita Pavana, this is Prahlad Maharaj, who actually appeared in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes as Vasudev Datta, one of the inhabitants of Bengal, one of Lord Chaitanya's associates. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Vasudev Datta wants to take all the sinful reactions on his head. So that's our mood, is we want to take risks to deliver the fallen souls, to deliver them, because through the Shastra we can understand their situation is very, very critical. It's very sad that they've gotten this human form of life and they're wasting it in sense gratification and material opulence and so on, completely lost in this darkness. And Kali Kalir, Namarupa Krishna Avatar, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has invested so much potency in this Hare Krishna mantra. And then the Brihat Madanga, Srila Prabhupada's books, or Brihat Madanga, they're also there to deliver, purify the heart, simply by these descriptions of Krishna and his devotees, by Krishna's avatars, and ultimately by Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. Their hearts can become purified. Described like that even in Krishna book. Prabhupada describes the one who hears these pastimes, their hearts become purified. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.